Exercise. Exercise is a very, very dangerous enterprise. The average lifespan, when you take all professional athletes together, all sports, you add them together, the average lifespan of a professional athlete is 62. You take the average lifespan of a professional football player, when you take out all the suicides, is 51. There has never been, with the exception of 3 black guys from the old Negro Baseball League days back in the 1920s, there has never been a professional athlete ever lived to be 100. If exercise is so good, how come they don't live to be 100? They get paid. Their only job is to stay healthy. That's their only job. When they get paid $3 million a game, their whole responsibility is to eat right, supplement right, exercise right, sleep, avoid all the bad stuff. That's all they're getting paid for, is to stay healthy and perform. They have whole seasons off and they still get paid every month. It's wild when you think about it. And their average lifespan is 62, and none of them live to be 100. Well, why is that? That's because when you exercise, you sweat, don't you? And people love you, and you're sweating in your job. You're working in a factory. It's 120 degrees in the factory. You're throwing bales of hay. Whatever your work is, you're roofing in the summertime, that kind of stuff. They tell you to take plenty of what? That's what kills you. Because, here's why. That's the obvious question. Why? Because sweat is not water. Sweat is a soup that contains all the nutrients in your blood. Let's say you're eating 65, 72 nutrients. You haven't quite gotten to the 90 yet. The same principle is true for 90, but the average person isn't taking the 90 yet. So let's say they're getting 65 to 72 nutrients in their food, and they're sweating out 65 to 72 nutrients. So here you are. Let's say this is your nutritional reserves in your body, and you're sweating, and you're drinking water. What's happening to your nutritional reserves? That's kind of like replacing a quart of oil every time your engine burns a quart of oil with a quart of water. How much you do that? By the 6th week, your engine wouldn't be very happy, would it? So, now let's see here. You start getting breakdown of your ACL ligament. You start getting a breakdown of your cartilage. You start getting muscle cramps. You start getting loose teeth, high blood pressure, diabetes, start gaining some weight. Oh, now you got fibromyalgia. Now you got lupus. Now you have a heart attack, which you may or may not survive from. Shame on all the fitness guys. Actually, I have to tell you this quick story. I was called to Atlanta. Oh, this got to be 12 years ago. And this was to an LA fitness center. The manager was one of our associates, one of our distributors, and he said, "Doc, I got this whole new crop of people here. They've never heard of it. I want you to give a half-hour lecture just on the sports piece." Okay, it doesn't have to be the whole thing, just on the sports piece. Okay, so I get there, and there's a group about this size, a couple hundred people in there, and showing my slides on athletes. And this beautiful girl, she had to be 32 years old. I mean, she's drop-dead gorgeous, and she's in a $1,000 silk tutu, and all this stuff. And she goes, "Oh, Dr. Wallach," and she stands up and she's facing the audience right in front of me. She said, "Oh, Dr. Wallach, it's not vitamins, minerals. It's aerobics and exercise." She goes, "It's aerobic and exercise. It's aerobics and exercise." She goes, and half the people in there, 100 of them, were her customers, her clients. So they all get behind her and all conga dancing out. It's all exercise and aerobics. It's all exercise and aerobics. And it was the most disastrous meeting I've ever had in my life. I was mortified. Well, 3 weeks later, I started getting hundreds of calls from LA. "We need the stuff. We need your 90 essential nutrients. We need your sports drink," which we call Rebound, has 100 nutrients in it. Gatorade has 2. So you're 88 sharp with Gatorade. So anyway, I said, "Why am I getting all these calls from Atlanta, Georgia, wanting the stuff?" Remember that gal that disrupted your meeting? Well, how could I forget? It's the worst meeting I ever had. Last week, 32 years old, she's on the treadmill at lunchtime, 1,000 people in there all watching her. She's doing her thing gorgeous. She drops dead of a heart attack right there. Bam! And everybody in that center called me and got on the stuff. It was a very expensive way, but she advertised for me, so I love her. Now, the Journal of the American Medical Association, 1982, the Journal of the American Medical Association, 1982, while running, a man's risk of heart attack death increases by a factor of 700%. Because it's all honey, be sure you drink plenty of water. You're out there sweating out your 60 to 70 nutrients. You're just replacing it with water. You're going to die. You're going to break down. You can't run an engine on 6 quarts of water when it should be 6 quarts of oil. It's that simple. This fellow here ran 100 marathons. Brian Maxwell is one of the top athletes in Canada. He was considered a fitness guru. Heart attack claims another fitness guru. Dies at 51 of a heart attack from, actually the heart attack he died from was a simple deficiency of a single mineral. I've actually done 1,700 autopsies on people that died of that one type of heart attack. I'm an expert at it, not because I'm bragging, it's just nobody else has done 1,700 autopsies on people that died of that thing. And so he actually ran 100 marathons, never came in less than 5th, had 14 gold medals. 3 in the Olympics, 11 were in the Ironman things, the World Games, and the triathlons. This guy was as fit as a human being could be, and he dies at 51 of a heart attack because he sweat out all his minerals. Just drank water. In his book, you read his book, Jim Fixx, the first guy I showed you, that orange book. You look in the index under vitamins and minerals, it says, go to page 165. You go to page 165, it says, don't take vitamins and minerals. You get everything you need from your food. Just run, you'll live longer. And thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of people listen to them. Why would you follow somebody's advice who died at 51 and 52 doing what they're telling you to do? Now, if he lived to be 150, I'd do it, right? But died at 51, 52 is not a very good recommendation. This guy here collapsed during a playoff game. Reggie Lewis collapsed during a playoff game with the Charlotte Hornets back in 1993. 28 years old, captain of the Boston Celtics, good-looking young fella. Great captain. He never jumped in the stands and beat up the paying customers and stuff like that. He was a great field leader on the court, and he was a great man on the street. He's just a good man, 28 years old. And he collapses with a cardiomyopathy heart attack, a simple deficiency of a single mineral called selenium. And he didn't die. He was taken to the hospital, and they were able to keep him alive. So the Celtics got a team of 12 of the top cardiologists from around the world, and while they were arguing amongst themselves who's going to be the head cardiologist to determine whether he got a heart transplant or what they were going to do with him, and if they did a heart transplant, he'd be the first professional athlete to get back and play with a heart transplant, so they're kind of excited about that. He dies of his second cardiomyopathy heart attack 2 weeks later because nobody gave him 50 cents worth of selenium. Well, here comes the real story. This is the story that I want to get to, but I had to precede it with that story. The guy who was going to be the head of that dream team of cardiology, who was going to take care of Reggie Lewis, was a guy by the name of Dr. W. Thomas Nessa, who's the head of the cardiology department of Harvard Medical School. He ran the Boston Marathon 20 times himself. He was the cardiologist for the NBA. He was a cardiologist for the Celtics. He taught cardiology in the medical school, of course, but he also taught it at CME, continuing medical education stuff for doctors and nurses. And this guy was considered the cardiologist of all cardiologists. Well, a year and a half after Reggie died of that selenium deficiency, cardiomyopathy heart attack, Dr. Nessa dies of the same thing at age 48. Now, if I was his family, I'd be embarrassed to tears. Saying what a wonderful cardiologist is, he dies of a heart attack at age 48. He was dumb and dead. He was dumb and dead. This guy may have been able to take your heart out and not lose a drop of blood and put it into him. He may have been a good seamstress, but he didn't know anything about hearts. Because he died of a heart attack. And I thought it was kind of justice. He died in a town in Massachusetts called Dedham. I mean, that should be on his tombstone. Died in Dedham. Now, I don't have a doctor. I told you, I haven't been to a doctor in 65 years. The only piece of paper, truly the only piece of paper in my health record is one piece of paper. It's my birth certificate. There's nothing else in there. I'm 74 years old. Everybody in America would be the same way. Just think about it. Just think how humble the medical system would be if everybody in America were like me medically. Only go to a doctor once every 74 years. They'd be real humble, wouldn't they? Please, please, I'll pay you to come visit me. I don't want to be alone anymore. So let's say, just for theory, he was my cardiologist. He said, okay, Wallach, you're 74 years old now. You got to watch your blood pressure. I want you to give up salt. Well, if he said that to me, and I knew what his future was going to be, I would go around and I would get every salt shaker in Charlotte. I'd leave $1 so they didn't think I'm stealing them. I'd build a 2-foot frame around my bed, and I'd fill that frame, with Celtic salt, Celtic salt, Himalayan salt, sea salt, Morton salt, every kind of salt, pink salt, yellow salt, brown salt, everything you can think of. And I'd get naked every night, and I'd wiggle around until I'm sleeping in a cocoon of salt every night. If he said that eggs were bad for you because of cholesterol, I'd eat 25 a day. If he said that exercise was good for you, I'd lay on that bed of salt, eating my eggs, and I wouldn't even blink. Because I wouldn't want to be like him at age 48. Dead! 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 Now, following his advice, this is what happens. This is the gal here, Renelda Pierce, 19 years old, was chased by every professional women's basketball team in the world. She was 6'5", could do the Air Jordan thing. She was just a lovely girl. And she chose to say, look, I'm going to take 2 years of academics first. I'm going to go to Florida State. Make a long story short, halfway through her freshman year, she drops dead during a game at age 19 from a ruptured aneurysm, which is caused by a deficiency of a single mineral copper. She's drinking Gatorade. Go look and try and find any copper in Gatorade. There's no copper in Gatorade. There's no selenium in Gatorade. They killed that girl as sure as they shot her. And then they have the gall to say that she died of a genetic disease. She died of a simple copper deficiency. If she'd taken the 90s, she'd still be alive today. Wes Leonard, there was a sudden death playoff in western Michigan for a semifinal game. Make a long story short, he catches the tip-off. He runs across the court, slam dunks it. His team wins sudden death, 54-52. This is him just seconds after he makes those points. His teammates lift him up. 3 seconds after this picture was taken, he drops dead of a cardiomyopathy heart attack, age 16. Now, the medical examiner had a moment here. This is a national story. The medical examiner had a moment. They got his name spelt right. Medical examiner David Start said the stress Leonard placed on his heart through athletics could have played, notice these wiggle words, could have played a role, but his death could not be easily explained. It is explained. It's a deficiency of selenium caused by sweating and drinking water or Gatorade. Now, he had a chance to save every kid in America there, because everybody read that story. That man should go to jail forever, and when he dies, the natural cause of his body should be fed to a rabid dog. That's the meanest thing I can think of. What doctors want to do, as a result of Wes Leonard dying, let's do more EKGs. That's not going to do anything for nutritional deficiency. It doesn't show up on an EKG. This girl, L.A., dropped dead of cardiomyopathy, heart attack. She was a cheerleader. Girls sweat. They need the 90 essential nutrients too, especially if they're going to grow up and have babies. She died 16 years old. Somebody needs to go to jail. Make a long story short, we'll get on with the next couple of subjects. We'll move on to the diseases. Theo Ratliff just retired from the NBA, 14 years. His career was over 14 years ago. He had bone-to-bone arthritis in both knees. Had cartilage pop off his hip. He caught a pass during a game, fractured his wrist. The orthopedic surgeons at the Atlanta Hawks wouldn't sign off on him, so his career was over. And we rebuilt him using our Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, and we actually made the Rebound sports drink for him. It has 100 nutrients in it, including selenium and copper and everything else you need. It has 100 nutrients in it, and he played for 14 more years after the orthopedic surgeon said that he wouldn't play. He made $140 million after they said his career was over. Now, do you think his wife, Christina, doesn't love me? Now, next to Theo, now she's 6'5" herself. So every time I go over there, she kind of hugs me around the head and pats on my head. She's so sweet. Rebound. You have somebody you love who's sweating, whether it's work or play or sports of any age, you give them Rebound. Don't give them Gatorade. You'll add 25 years to their life, and they won't drop dead.